Welcome back to the RPA Project 2 video number 2. I have already explained all the details about the project in another video, which is video number 1 of this project. You can have a look. You will find the link in the description. You can have a look on these details also. And this is the schedule on which we are going to publish all 4 videos related to this RPA project. And today in this video, we will develop this first workflow, which is data extraction from first website. If you find this video and this project is useful for you, please share the link to your social media channel. That will be a great help for me so that people can learn and my channel can grow. And if you find any difficulty in between at any point, you can just mention the time and then mention your question there. I will try to answer as soon as possible. Before I go ahead, I would like to tell you that I have already done one more project which has 6 different videos and 5 different workflows. So if you want to see that project, you can find the link into the description. I will launch my UiPath Studio, and the first project, which was about the US mortgage, we have done in classic view of UiPath Studio, and in this project we are going to use modern view. Let's create a new project from here. Click on the process, select your folder. I will select this flight data extraction, which is already created folder, then give a name. Select the language, whichever you are comfortable with, and create. Here is our project. If you want to do the project in classic view, you can go into project here, go in the setting. From setting, you can switch off the modern design experience. Let's come back to the window. Click on open main workflow. So this is our UiPath main workflow, and we will call all other workflows inside this main workflow. All right. So first thing which we need to perform today's development, that we have to create different workflow for 2 different websites. So what I will do is I will not do any activity on this file right now, but I will add a new workflow file from here. Workflow. Let's name this workflow as Mumbai Flight Data. And you can see your UiPath project path is already taken here. If you want to save this UiPath workflow into some different UiPath project, you can select that folder as well here. Okay. And template you can take flowchart or state machine, whichever you like. I am taking here flowchart. Create. And you can keep the activities as per your choice, but I start from the corner. So the first thing is that we have to open the website and then extract the data. And let me show you the website first of all. You can see the URL here. And this URL will be available in the description of this video. And using UiPath data extraction activity, we have to extract the data for arrival, and in the arrival we will have domestic and international, 2 different tabs, and in departure also we will have domestic and international. So what we have to do, we have to perform the data extraction 4 different times, and for each extraction we will create a different UiPath sequence. So let's get started. First of all, go to activities panel, use application or browser. We want to use browser, so we have to drag this activity first of all. And if we are using UiPath Classic, then open browser activity will come here. Set as a start node, right click, okay. Open the browser. So now you have to indicate the application. So come here, and when you will click on browser, it will automatically identify that it is a browser. Okay. Now what you have to do is you can define this like you want to close this always or you never want to close this. These are the options. And if you want to open, so if not open, then only we want to open. So we will select this option. And these options are not available in classic view. Now once this is open, first of all, what we have to do, we have to create first sequence. So Control Shift T is the activity shortcut for UiPath Studio. Now let's take one sequence. And we need this sequence inside this activity only, and we need four different sequences. Let's rename this sequence. Okay, inside this we require four different sequences. One, two, three. You can add them one by one, or you can click on this add button also. When you are clicking on the add sign, please ensure that you are clicking the add sign inside this top sequence here, not inside the subsequences. Click here, add one more UiPath sequence. Okay, now we have all four UiPath sequences for this UiPath. Now first we will take Mumbai and then domestic arrival. This is our first sequence. Second sequence, copy the name from here. Let's name this as departure. Okay, we have now two. Mumbai International Arrival sequence. Mumbai International Departure. Okay. Now let's complete the domestic arrival first of all. Click here. You first need to click on the tab. So you have to take a click activity. Come to the arrival. Click on arrival, and you will see the screenshot will be shown here. Image. You can see the selectors here. Okay. Validate, and then validation is successful and confirm. All right, it is done. So click arrival is done. You can rename the activity if required. Now next thing is that we have to extract the data from the table. So first of all, what we can do, just drag this down and come take this on the front, the table. And you can see, you can drag from here. There are more than 200 row items. Okay, now let's go to the UiPath Studio. Click on a UiPath table extraction and just drag this here. So when you will click on add data, click on the serial number, try to keep the closer. So you can see there are two areas which are getting indicated. You should keep the smaller one. Click on this. So UiPath will give you this pop-up. Would you like to extract all the columns? You can say yes. Even after that, you will have the option to delete few of the columns. So I will not keep email. I will not keep column 9, column 10. All right. And then we can go ahead and save this. So you might see this pop-up, multiple rows are configured, but the next button is not set. But on this page, there is no next button sign. So what we can do, we can click on continue. But if you have any HTML element which is presenting the next button sign, then you can indicate that. But on this page, there is no next button. You can see till end. Okay. Let's go back to the studio. So you have the table here, extracted table. We will not change the name of this extracted table, because this table will be, the scope of this table will be limited to only this sequence. You can see the scope of this data table is limited to the Mumbai domestic arrival sequence. All right. So if we will use same name in a different sequence, it will not overwrite the data. Hope you have the clarity about the. So you will have one warning here. So you can ignore this warning. So we will take one UiPath log activity, or you can use a write line activity also. Mumbai domestic rows, and then we can add the count here. Extracted data table dot rows dot count dot toString. Okay, so it will give us a log message, and we are performing all the activities inside this browser app option. So what I will do for now, that I will keep this never close just for the testing purpose, and later on we will select this option. If opened by app, then only it will close. Now what we have to do is, we have to write this Mumbai.cs movie. Okay, and then we will use extracted data table. So how to write CSV file using UiPath? This is the example of this. So I will run this one, and then we will repeat all these activities in all of these sequences. Loaded, click, and now let's see if it has printed the count. So you can see the log message which we have, the log message which we have added. Mumbai domestic arrival rows are 243, which means data is successfully loaded in the data table. Now let's see if the file is created in the folder or not. So you have the project folder here, and you have this file created, CSV file created. You can see the timing here, and you can match the timing here. Let's have a look on the data. All right. Now same sequences we have to repeat. So let's minimize this sequence. Mumbai arrival. Come on the sequence. Domestic departure. First of all, take a click activity. Indicate on element. Domestic. And already we are already on the domestic. Now click on departure. Okay. So you have to do F2 to pause the recording, and you paused and click on departure first of all before you start data extraction. Okay, confirm. And now here in this sequence, inside the sequence itself, we have to, you can minimize this, click and add. And after this click here, you have to perform table extraction. First of all, come down so that a table is on the center of the screen. Add data, click on this serial number or any other. You can click on, you can highlight this as well. Click on this flight. Extract the data from all the columns. Yes. You can delete these three columns which we have deleted in the last sequence as well. And it will show you the rows. And then from here you can save it. It will again give the pop-up, but we don't have any next button or any next page icon here on this page. So we can ignore this and we can click on continue. Now we have another UiPath sequence which is extracting the data using UiPath data extraction. And now we have to write this data into the CSV file. So we already have a CSV file. Now what I have to do is I have to append because we already started writing the data in a file. Okay. So you have append CSV activity. How to append data in the existing CSV. Then you can use this UiPath append to CSV activity. And you can give the same file path mumbai.csv and data table is the extracted data table. All right. And then we will write. This is done. Now international arrival and international departure. So first of all, open the site and click, take these options on the front so that we can easily indicate the element in UiPath. Take a click activity, click on international, confirm, and we might have to manually click to do the further action. So now we are on the international. Okay. We have already recorded the click international, and we will go in the same sequence as per the name of our sequence. This is international arrival. So what we have to take one more click, and we have to click on arrival. Okay, validate, confirm, click on arrival manually before we start on data extraction. National arrival. So this is how the tab should be. And then we can add the UiPath data extraction here. Add data, indicate this serial number. Yes. Remove the columns again, which are not required. And there are 62 rows. So UiPath table extraction will show you the row and column also, which will be added in the data. Okay, and then you can save it from here. Confirm. Okay. Again, you will have same warning message. You can ignore that. And here, append CSV. So whatever data is loaded in the table, we will append to the same CSV, which is .csv. Extracted data table. Right. Now finally, international departure. Let's minimize this sequence. This all the warning message will go off once we will run 2 or 3 times. So come here on the top again and just click departure. Confirm. And then manually you have to come on the departure. And after this, click again on international. Validate. Confirm. And then now we will perform the extraction. So you have to note always like it should be inside the inner sequence. Table extraction. Now just scroll it down. Yes. And then delete the unrequired columns. 59 rows. Save. Continue because we don't have any next option. So you have the another table, extraction table. Now you have to write, you have to append this data in the CSV. So we are done with all 4 data extraction sequences. Now there are 2 things that we will require this file name from the variable because we will be connecting this workflow with the main workflow. So let's create one variable now, which will be converted to the argument at later stage when we will connect all the workflows inside this project. I am keeping this in because I will use this variable as the input argument. Data file path. Okay. And this data file path should be available for entire workflow. So what we have to do is we have to change this from here to here because Mumbai data extraction is the workflow name here. Okay. Now as of now I can give the default value which is Mumbai.csv, and then I can pass this name or this variable to all the sequences. Open, write CSV, and change from here in data file path. So once you will convert this into argument, you will not have to do changes again. And you have already added the in, which indicates the input argument in future. Okay, now the third one, in data file path, and this value will come from main workflow. Now the last one. Now let's run this first of all and see if it is working fine or not. I will delete the existing file. Okay, save, and I will close the browser before I run this. I will run only the file. So I am running the file because to debug the file I have to start from main. Okay. Browser is launched. You can see on the bottom of the screen. So activities are happening on the backend. You can see the file is also created here. You can see the size of the file is changed, which means the data is added to the file. You can see the file size once again. So things are happening on the backend. I will just open this so that you can see on the screen. Okay, now all the activities are done, and let's see the file size. So we have 88 KB data available. Here is the data. You have 791 rows. So don't go this to this serial number because serial number is changing for each file. You can see 244 rows, and then it is starting from one. Okay. Now next question is that how will anybody get to know that this is the international data or this is the departure data or this is the arrival data? So what we can do is that we can add columns to all of these sequences, columns with default values. So let me show you what I am trying to say. So if you know .NET, then you can you can add the code also to add the columns, but I will be using UiPath add column activity. So here is the data table, and after extracting the data table, you can just expand this. We will add a new column into each sequence. Okay, because a scope of the extracted data table is limited to the sequence. Now what we will do, Control Shift T is the shortcut of UiPath. Add data column here. So you can mention one column name, category, and data table name you have to give to which you want to add this data table. So we are adding, note this point that we have to add the column before we are writing the data to CSV. Okay. So which data table is data table is DT extraction data table. Okay. And we are into the arrival sequence. So what we can do is we can give a default value which is BOM arrival. Okay, and now we can copy same sequence because our data table name is same. So we can go to domestic departure also, and before we are appending the data to CSV, you can minimize this. You can minimize this as well. You can paste that here, and you can just change the default value. You can make this to depar. And before you go ahead, let's do one thing. You can write the log also here. Add log activity, log message, and this is domestic departure. Mumbai domestic departure row count. The table dot rows dot count. I think we have, we can go here and count dot count count dot to string. So if you want to open the editor, you can click here on these three dots. Now what we can do, we can copy both of these activities because, and let's go to the next sequence, international arrival, minimize this, and before we are writing the data, we are up, and before we are appending the data to CSV file, we can have this Mumbai, change the log message, Mumbai international arrival. And here we have to change the default value int intn arrival. Okay, let's go to the last sequence. before we are appending international departure. Change the message from here, international departure. Okay. Here also, when you are adding the column, default value have to be changed. International departure. Right, perfect. Let's close this file now and delete this existing file. So when I will connect all the workflows, that file will be written with the date stamp. Okay, so for one date, you will have one single file. I will run this once again, and this is already open. Processing is started. Process is ended. Let's go and see the output 96. So size is increased, and let's see if the column values are there. So you can see now, you can understand easily this domestic departure, international arrival, and in the end international departure. So this is how you extract the data using UiPath activity. You add the column into the existing data tables. You rename the UiPath sequences. That all we have covered. Almost similar activities we will do in the next video, and that we will do in and that we will perform on the Delhi airport website. Here you can see the live flight information. This is the URL, and now we will do same thing here: arrival, departure, international, and domestic. All right, practice this part. I will see you in the next video. Do not forget to share the link of this video to your friends. Subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and comment your feedback.